Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Good evening and welcome back to our new and absolutely brand new edition of Kindle Live. Today we are going to begin our session with a wonderful prayer and we will discuss the reason why too.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Jai Jai Ram. बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र की जय.
After 14 years of Vanvas, Sri Ram had returned back to Ayodhya and that day was celebrated as Diwali. After 500 years of great struggle in the Hindu Rashtra, Sri Ram himself was not recognized. His own temple was not being allowed to be built for various reasons which we all know. Finally, it has happened and Sri Ram's temple is going to be built in Ayodhya. Today morning, most of you must have probably seen the ceremony also. So today for us, it is a Diwali which has come back again. And we have lit lamps in our house, in our windows. I am sure you all have done the same. And let us take this moment to understand what Sri Ram was, what work he did, and what Gurudev is also trying to explain to us through the book of Kindle Life about the work, the values and the virtues of work. I think I will ask Jagdish to explain a little background of what had happened in our country. But before we do that, let us say our prayers.
समस्त जन कल्याणी निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Hari Om. Shri Guru. The secret of action. Bhagwan Ram is the epitome of action. That is the reason we call him Purushottama Ram. Because at every stage of his life, he did his dharma perfectly along with his karma. And that is the most important essence of Ram Bhagwan. We remember him as Bhagwan. Many remember him as a perfect human being. Many remember him as a person of precision. But for us, he is the God of all gods who sits in our heart. And
The divinity, the
divinity
consciousness,
for us, the
which is within
consciousness.
us.
Ram, that means which absolutely shines, which always is Ramati, which is the essence of life,
Always which gives happiness.
which is the consciousness, without which nothing can move, without which everything will be called as dead, is Ram. That is the meaning of Ram.
How beautiful.
Gurudev was called by the then politicians to come and speak at the Secretariat of Government of India. The times were quite difficult. It was immediately after the great independence struggle that India had faced, and finally we had won our struggle. People may say we were given our struggle. Nobody gives a free meal. What to talk about the whole country? At such time, Gurudev was called to give a talk to motivate the people who were working in the secretariat. But Rajshri, what was the reason behind people want to get motivated? What was happening? What had happened before independence will tell us what was happening after the independence. I'll take few more moments and try to explain to it as fast as I could. India was under the tyranny of the British Raj, whereby to gain power, what the British did, it divided our own country and own countrymen. How? It divided the rich and the powerful, the Rajas and their Munims and the landlords separate from the people. And what they did? They made these Rajas and the Munims as well as the landlords as though they were crutching over all the other people. They made others slaves. Yes, we as common Indians were slaves in the Raj of British.
It's very interesting to know in history, that they came over here in the guise of missionaries and slowly brought arms and ammunition into the country. And then the same landlords and the kings and the smaller kingdoms that were there in our country, they supplied their own protection to the kings. And they did it to one king close by and another king who was his neighbor, and brought out, instead of friendship, the enmity. And they took money from both the kings for their protection. Of course, it was not their land. All they wanted was profit from that, and that is what they achieved. And they were here for a few hundred years. And these were the worst kind of people. Why the worst kind? Because at least the Muslims who had come before them, although they initially came with a lot of violence, we know of horrific stories which are true, that in a single day, some of these Muslim rulers who came from outside of India have killed over 1 lakh of Hindu people in one single day.
Massacred.
And this is in history, this is the truth, that has happened. And there are many more horrific tales. But at least later on, they gave something back. There was some culture over there, some architecture over there.
They made the country as their own land. They became one with the country. However, the British didn't do that.
They had many policies, which were, of course, the best of which was divide and rule. And their policy was to destroy the culture of India. In fact, it is said how Churchill himself had uttered these words, that if you want to destroy this country, you destroy the culture of this country. This is what Churchill was. He may be considered a hero in his own country, but for us, he will and always will remain a villain. And this mentality, our country was ruled, taken away. How can we forget so many instances like the famine in Bengal which was there, where farmers were forced to cultivate the crops which destroyed the soil, and the crops which they were taken away by the British for their
army,
for their own industry and for their own usage.
In the World War, Indians, the grains from India fed the British in the World Wars.
That is true. And while it is hardly mentioned, it is very, very lately that some mention of the contribution of the Indian soldiers towards the World War II is also being mentioned. So irrespective, the history is rather sad and rather troubling. But the aspect that we want to point out over here is that what it did to the mind,
mentality
to
of
the
Indians.
mind and psyche of the Indians. Initially, they did struggle to gain some independence. They failed, and this carried on not for 1 or 2 years, for 1,000 years. And then they accepted themselves to become slaves. So their mentality had also already become a slave mentality. And then later, during the British people also, Taking advantage of that slave mentality, they were made into clerks. Our race, our origins, we were one of the, or let me be a proud Indian and say, the most brilliant race in the entire world. Later, even Max Muller, it is one of his quotes, that if you want to see where in the world the evolution of human mind has taken place the most, it is in India. We had astronomers who had, our Aryabhatta had predicted 1,000 years before Copernicus that the sun was the central figure around which all the planets revolved, for which he is felicitated and today also revered as a great rishi, while Copernicus was killed by the religious popes over there at that time.
When he said this to their country, he was put to gallows. But here,
so that is the way things were respected. That was the immense amount of difference. After the struggle of independence, a new India emerged.
just 1 minute actually. At the time when British were here, what was happening to locals? Why was I saying that we were made to be slaves? What is a slave? A slave is a person who is made to work out of one, force, second, out of against his will, and third, given back what? Pennies, or even not that. Under this condition, the mentality of the local people had grown that whatever is to be done in the most ridiculous way and just do it and finish. Why? क्योंकि गोरा साहब के लिए करना है. It was not done for your own land, for your own mother. This attitude had grown into every Indian very strongly. Therefore, seeing this carefully, in our observation, Gandhiji picked up the right thread and he said Satyagraha. What was Satyagraha? Not to do. I will not do. That was the thought process. Now coming to the new India. India was independent. From one day to another, from slavery to suddenly independence. And people wanted to work and get their monies right. But how will the mindset change? The mindset doesn't change overnight. And with this mindset that why should I work, or even if I have to work, I'll work little, but I must get money. Now it is our country, I should get more and more money. So the attitude was to give little or nothing and gain maximum. Why? Because previously our own countrymen also under the rule, under the pressure, under the greed of the British did what the Maharajas, the landlords, they did this only. They arrogated all money to themselves and gave pennies to the workers and made them peasants. A race which was brilliant was made peasants. This thought process was continued in India and unfortunately it is still continuing. We will read that about it. And then Gurudev was called so that this mindset firstly should be shown in front of people and then to show them technique how to come out of it.
In order to correct something is wrong, first of all, you have to recognize that there is something wrong. And second, you have to act upon that which is wrong and make it right. And how to do that? Let us now start reading ahead what Gurudev is saying. And slowly, I am sure you all will also agree to our viewpoint.
You try to read today. You are not coughing so much, so try to read.
Yes, let me try. The secret of action. We have already mentioned that action is the core of life. Life is action. So what is the secret to it? Now this is a talk delivered by Param Pujya Swamiji to the staff of the Central Secretariat, Government of India. Remember, we've just mentioned this is after independence. The inevitability of action. Talk 1. Nowadays, under the modern system of education, when a young man comes out of the university, there seems to be a misconception in him that higher the standard of living, there's less a man should work in the world outside. Thus, mathematically, higher standard of living according to this misconceived notion, the less the work, and ultimately, what would be the highest standard of living? No work at all. If that is how you considered standard of living, that you should get everything, and then you should slowly stop working. There is no need to work anymore. So that will become the highest standard of living. No work at all. So no work, maximum recreation, all sensual enjoyment, living 365 days and holidays. This is the highest standard of living. This seems to be the conception of our youngsters today when they enter into the field of action.
And this is where I was saying that then it was very, very prevalent. But let us introspect a little. Is this not what our youngsters are taught even today? You know what they say actually? Minimum input, maximum output. What do they mean by this is करना कुछ भी नहीं या थोड़ा सा करना लेकिन सैलरी बढ़ा लेना. Even before you go and show your efficiency in work, only because of your proficiency, your certificate, they sit across the table and they discuss how much salary they will get, what will they get, how much they will get. The bargaining is, the goal is, the aim is bigger salary. Means what? I want more. What I can give is later.
Let's see what reads. There seems to be an unhealthy competition today among the workers. I have been mixing with the secretariat workers all over the country and have noted that amongst themselves there is almost a competition like this. This Gurudev is talking about the government workers in the secretariat. How much did you work today? 3 letters. 3 letters you did. I did only 1 letter. Thus the former decides that if the latter has done only 1 letter, dekho, see, tomorrow I will not do even 1. Thus there is a competition in the wrong direction today because of this false notion. I give my proprietor the minimum and egg out of him the maximum. This is nothing but a reaction. When the foreigner was in the country under the medieval economic setup of this country, the kings, the landlords and the proprietors, a few in numbers, learnt the art of squeezing the maximum out of ordinary people and arrogated all to themselves. Now therefore we find this reaction in the society that the average man or middle class man wants to get everything from the rich or the government without returning anything to the government or the proprietor. We just don't want to give back. We hide our taxes. We don't want to pay more taxes. We just try to not give back as much as possible. This is a natural social incident which happens inevitably in the context of our history emerging from slavery to freedom.
May I?
Please.
I'll continue now. But in this context, at this moment, when our nation's progress is at stake, if the young men who have come now, who are now no more the children of slaves, but who are the proprietors of the new chance given to them by history, want to make their life and their country progressive, there must be a new philosophy of action in their hearts. Please take this as today's context also. Today exactly this is happening to our country. As I read further. Thus, after so many years of freedom, slowly the government and the industrialists have started realizing this, and great men, specialists from America, then in America, today from everywhere in the world, have come to our country, and they gave the people in our country, workers as well as clerical staff, the idea of sanctity of work, etc. How many times in our own companies we have foreigners coming and giving us talks and lectures of how to work, what is the work ethics, how to do this, how to do that.
The point is not about foreigners coming. Global community today is a phenomenon. It is natural and normal. But that the foreigner knows better than us and that he can tell us how much to do things in a better way, is a very false notion. Why? Let's find out.
Let's find out. As if it is not in our culture or in our scriptures. It is already there, but the Pandit class, here Pandit class purely means the educated class. There was a group of people, a class of people who were educated in the British education in the British Raj. And they were the first governors and the first RBI governors, and they were at the top post in India. The educated class who made the subjects and who made the syllabus for us to study behind. The educated class.
The Pandit means educated. It does not mean the Purohit.
Purohit. It is a very different thing. The educated class was not bringing out the context of an independent India, panting to build up its destiny. When we look at life, it is clear that if action is stopped, the organism is dead. Think for a moment, please. You are all living.
Or alive.
You are all alive. I am also alive. The world belongs to living. To the dead, there is neither constitution nor progress, nor industrialization, nor is wealth, nor happiness. There is nothing.
Obviously, if
Nothing.
I am living, then there is everything. If
No.
I am not living, there is nothing.
As they say ना, after मरने के बाद पैसे आएंगे तो वो LIC का फायदा क्या?
Okay,
The only problem with LIC is you get money after you die.
big problem.
Sorry. The destiny of a nation belongs to the living generation. We are all alive. What do we mean by we are alive? Life is the most sacred wealth that you and I have got. We are ready to do anything to maintain that life. We work or we study in our childhood. We struggled hard for a job and we get a job. We are working from morning till evening now, all for maintaining our lives. True or false? Absolutely true. Even in the COVID situation, sitting inside our house, in front of the computer, why are we working? So that maintenance of our life is continuing. And because we are alive, we can work, we can produce even if we are bound to four walls. Life is the common denominator. There is no question of haves and have not as far as life is concerned. Life is for the rich, life is for the poor, life is for the employer, life is for the employees, life is for the successful and for the failure. Everyone has got life and has equal share, and this we sacredly guard for ourselves. This is our precious wealth. But what exactly is life? Just this paragraph. Very rarely we are instructed in this either by our parents or by our elders or by our university education. We are very rarely given to think about this. What is life?
The great acharyas of the past also contemplated about it and discussed this matter with their disciples. What exactly is life then? Life is a fascinating power which expresses itself through the mighty man as well as the scoundrel. This expression is common to all of us.
What exactly is life? The teacher of the Upanishad, instead of defining life, they were brilliant. They asked the disciple to watch and observe a dead body.
So to understand life, let us watch a dead body.
So this in the Shastra is called the Viparita Bhavana. For example, to know something, you observe the exact opposite. So you come to know, oh, and then you move ahead. Here, we call it dead when all activities in it had ended. The dead body is no more physically perceiving anything, mentally cannot have any impressions or feeling, intellectually it cannot think. All its organs have stopped. The heart is no more thudding, and the physical structure is no more functioning within him. At that time, we say that the organism is dead. Whether it is a human being, an animal, or a plant, an organism is dead when it no more response to the outside. There is a plant. I water it regularly, but still not a leaf or flowers come out of it. Then the plant must be dead. Means it is not responding. Why? Because it is not responding to the external stimuli. External stimuli, I am pouring water. Sunlight is coming. There is fresh manure also, but it is not responding. If a dog is lying down and I throw stones at it and yet it is neither getting up nor barking, then we say it is a dead dog. Why? It is not responding to the pain caused by me. I call my father. I hug him. I love him. But he is not responding to any emotions of the other world. Naturally, we say the individual is dead. Whether an individual or a single cellular organism, if in none of them there is any activity, then the organism is dead. Therefore, what does Gurudev says? Activity is the insignia of life. Understand this so clearly, that so long as we are alive, only till then we can do something. If this factor called life goes away from this body, there is nothing that we can do. So, activity means life. Let's read a bit further. You and I, when we are living, cannot but be active. So long as we are alive, we will have to act, for life pulsating through the body is activity in the outer world. There is a fool, an idler. We ask him, "What are you doing, my boy?" He says, "Nothing." When he says nothing, the answer does not mean that he is dead, but it means that he is not doing anything good with his activity, either for the society or for his family or for that matter himself. Because action must necessarily come out of him, just as fragrance out of rose. It is a natural thing. The rose cannot stop its fragrance from spreading out. If it is a rose, it must have fragrance of the rose. If it is water, there must be fluidity in it. It is its characteristics. It is the nature. It is its nature naturally. Similarly, you and I, until we are placed in our burial grounds, will have to act whether we like it or we don't like it. So, activity will go on. But Rashri, on Sunday I will not work at all. Then what will you do? I will only be sleeping. So when I sleep I don't work? Even then my body will work. Wow, how? I will start thinking. I will start feeling hungry.
We all seen that in Kindle Life in our earlier chapters about the mind, the intellect, the koshas, the indriyas, all of them, whether you like it or not, whether you try to stop it or not, it will not happen. They will continue functioning.
So I will do more control, Rashri. I will stop my hunger and I will stop my thinking also. Right, that means I will not be working? Yes. No. Why? Even then the organs, whether you want it or you don't want it, they'll keep working till the cycle of life continues. Therefore, action is inevitable. What Gurudev is saying is absolutely crystal clear. Today we will stop here. And tomorrow we will continue with this topic and this talk. But may we get your mind once again to what we had started with. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram. The insignia of life is Shri Ram. The pulsating beat of the heart is Shri Ram. The life around us is Shri Ram. Therefore, a great poet has said, "Kan kan mein hai Ram."
So we end our talk over here today and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time. Let us finish with prayers.
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। हरि ओम to everyone. Hare Krishna.